He's standing here as the wide receivers coach at Boise State.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm excited to be back in Boise. My wife's excited to be back in Boise. She's another Boise State grad, and so happy wife, happy life. And so we're super excited to be back down here. Great opportunity, great program. Obviously, one that means a whole bunch to us and to me personally. So it's time to get back to work.
You seemed like kind of the obvious choice, right? It was, oh, Matt Miller, he's perfect. Bring him back. I mean, what was kind of the process like? Were you trying to get them on the phone, or did they reach out to you pretty quick? I mean, it just seemed kind of like a natural fit.
Yeah, there's a little bit of both of that going on. You know, when Coach Harsin reached out to me about, I hope things are well. Congrats on a great season. I was like, hey, there might be a chance that he's going to bring me down for an interview, so I better go get my ducks in a row. And luckily, I did a good job in that interview process, and he got the opportunity to come back down here.
The last couple of years, how'd they kind of prepare you for something like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to even when I was a player here. It's just kind of how you do anything is how you do everything, and there's high standards. There's a way to do a certain task, and learn that as an 18-year-old is a heck of a lot easier than a 28-year-old. And so it's just part of your DNA. Live your life with very high standards, very high expectations, with a lot of detail. And that's what I've done the last few years, and obviously it led to success and a lot more opportunities for me.
You're obviously here, for 1 year, right? Kind of in the, was it GA or quality control or whatever it was? When you left, I mean, was it obviously a goal at some point to hopefully come back to a spot like this?
Yeah, it's been a goal of mine since I was 17 years old, deciding to come here to play football. There's always been something about that blue turf to me it's been a special place in my heart, and it's been a personal goal to get back down here and coach and live in Boise because it's a place I fell in love with. And I think that's super important, where you love where you live, you love where you work. You don't work a day in your life. And I was very fortunate to be able to do that in Bozeman, Montana, as well as in Boise, Idaho. And I can't wait to get back to work.
How do you think you're being a player here and putting up the numbers and stuff you do? How do you think it's going to help in terms of getting credibility with the players, and they're shooting for some of your marks and stuff? I mean, your name's littered all over the record books. How do you think that's? I know you're not a guy that's probably going to be saying, "Look at me, and here's what I did." But I mean, how do you think that helps? Obviously, having a history here.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some credibility that goes along with that. But I think just working every single day, building those connections with those players, and getting those guys to trust you as a coach is the main thing. And I think it's being around those guys all the time and getting them to feel who you are, and for me to get a feel for how those guys are is a huge thing. And I'm very fortunate to have a great group of guys so far. And Coach Keesai did a nice job of recruiting that room and getting the right pieces in place. And now it's my job is to make those guys 1% better every single day. And I think they have that right mindset. Now I just got to keep pushing them.
Doing some of the play calling and kind of seeing coaching quarterbacks and just the whole offense. How do you think that kind of helped widen your knowledge and understanding and stuff now that you come back to a position with wide receivers?
Yeah, I think it helped me a whole bunch, just seeing things through a different lens. You get that wide receiver life, you kind of focus right on the outside a whole bunch, focus on the wide receiver play, the pass game. When you're an offensive coordinator, you're focused on all 11 pieces and understanding what everybody does in terms of getting that play done successfully. And so I grew a lot in those 2 years, being the offensive coordinator and coaching the quarterbacks, not just as a football guy, but as a leader and how to develop my style as a football coach. But it was also a great opportunity for me to get back down here, learn more football, be around great people, great players, a great program, and work for a great guy, with Coach Harsin, to really better myself professionally, as well as, like I said, being a great place to live.
What you mentioned the group you have. You obviously would have loved to have had John back, but you got some other talented guys in the group. Well, what are your thoughts just on your group that you have here?
Yeah, I think we have a very deep position there at wide receiver. Definitely we got some guys that play a lot of football here for us at Boise State, and we got some young guys who are very talented who are developing the right mindset to go be difference makers next fall. And so right now it's just getting that mindset where it needs to be and having a great off season, going to that spring ball, into the summer, and in the fall camp, hitting the ground and running, where we go make a splash for the whole country.
What are going to be kind of your goals or things that you want your group to get done in the spring and kind of getting ready for next season?
Yeah, I think for the young guys especially is getting those guys a lot of reps with some of our base scheme or DNA concepts, and then with the whole group collectively just developing that mindset that I want. I want a tight-knit group that's physical, that's tough, and that's physically imposing on our opponents, where we can go make a difference in the run game, make a difference in the pass game, and everybody's going to feel our presence out there with how we play the game.
What is kind of your coaching style? I mean, are you more of a tactician, or when we saw you as a player and stuff, or are you more of a fired up guy? What do you kind of bring to the table?
I'm more just like I played as a technician. When there's time and place where you got to get a little loud and get in somebody's grill, but there's also not really who I am either. And so I'm not going to be anybody who I'm not. Very comfortable with who I am as a person, and hopefully just be able to give those guys some knowledge of what was successful for me, as well as things I've learned along the way being a coach the last few years.
And I guess final thing with Eric moving over to OC and overseeing the whole offense now, what he's obviously got a great relationship with the receivers. So how's that kind of dynamic work, and how do you think that helps the offense too, that he's familiar with them and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a big time for us. He's been a big time for me the last couple of weeks. It's getting me familiar with those guys and kind of telling me how those guys tick in different fashions. And really, my goal is to help Keith in any way and be his right hand guy, because I know it's a challenging position to be in the offensive coordinator role. There's a lot of things going on in your head, and sometimes you just need somebody to be a little sounding bar for you, or somebody to throw ideas off of, and make sure we got the right mission in hand, and just attack that mission day by day.